Hello my friends, today I wanna talk with you about SEO, how you can provide these methods to get results, traffic and sales of course. You know, many projects fail. I think most of them because they usually chase high volume keywords and don't care about visitors. Google is a very smart search system and it's hard today to manipulate the search system to get results. That's why it's better to choose the right strategy and don't try to overwhelm others. It's better to outsmart them. It's my first tip. Outsmart your competitors, don't overwhelm them. For example, I got a client who has competition from billion companies. You know, many companies cost over $1 billion in his niche. If you know, it's weight loss supplements. You can imagine that because over 50% of people suffer from obesity, and of course many companies wanna earn here, and he tried to sell products as well, but that was hard to do it because of competition. And many webmasters fail. They usually chase high volume keywords. They open keyword research tools and analyze some high volume. They want to get this traffic sales, but you know, don't do it. Believe me, it's better to find for your competitors weaknesses. For example, about topics with high volume, you can imagine that 1,000 of others, even 1,000,000 others can compete to get these keywords. If you type on Google, you can see that Google lists 1,000,000 results for any keywords, but many keywords your competitors ignore them. For example, Elon Musk, when he started Tesla, he didn't try to overcome Toyota, Mercedes-Benz, Ford, BMW, and many other recognizable brands. And you can see today that Tesla costs more than all car companies in the world. Why he got this result? The main reason was he searched for competitors' weaknesses and created electric cars that all car production company in the world ignored. And you can see today they try to chase Elon Musk to create their electric cars. That's okay, perfectly fine, but you can use totally the same approach in your niche. What you need to do to search for your competitors' weaknesses and try to overcome them. For example, when I open keyword research tools, I usually ignore high volume keywords. I don't touch them because you can imagine that many other webmasters invest a lot of money to get these keywords. They try to get results for a few years, but you know, Google only decides, even Google algorithms rank websites in the top 10, but when you search for your competitors' weaknesses, when they ignore some keywords, that might be outdated content or new keywords, trends, it's better to take them. Let me share my screen. You can see from my screen I wrote the article 7 simple SEO tips for beginners. I submit the link in the description below. You can read this article. By the way, it's a very good article. You can find a lot of screenshots, examples, how you can get results. You can see content. Choose topics that you like more. For example, about rewriting, about title, content plan, and something similar. And the second thing where you can go to keyword research tools, you can see that I submitted the list of my 11 keyword research tools as well, but you know, many webmasters, they don't understand how to use them correctly. They usually search for high volume keywords. For example, if you open Google Keyword Planner, it's a free tool. You need to sign in to this tool, and you can use them. When I typed weight loss, you can see that I got a lot of irrelevant results. You need to find yours. But you know what's the problem here, that people usually search for average monthly searches. You don't need to do it. It's better to search for content that get a lot of traffic, and you can use Ahrefs, SEMrush, or any other recognizable tools. You can see that I use Ahrefs. At that point, go to Content Explorer, write your keyword, and use filters. I usually use filters domain rating less than 30. I can explain why, because you know many recognizable studies share that today websites with high domain rating usually rank higher, and it's hard to overcome them. For example, even if you have better content and links, they use their authority to rank their websites, because for example, I can explain why. When you search for new sneakers and you can see Amazon or some unrecognizable online shop, of course you click Amazon because you trust this brand. It's the same with any niche. That's why you often see Wikipedia or many other websites that are competitors as well. You know, it's interesting because my clients often ask me what I can do if I have only a few direct competitors in the top 10 results. I told them, forget about this, you know, all your competitors in the top 10 results, even Wikipedia, because when you promote your website, you fight for the top 10 results. That means all pages, all content in the top 10 results are your competitors as well. And okay, let's come back to Ahrefs, and you can see that I use some filters, page traffic over 1,000 people a day, and referring domains to 10. I can explain why, because you know link building plays a huge role in the for getting results. That means when you have the content that gets traffic and have a lot of links, you can overcome them much simpler. We have another filter. Let me use this filter, words counts less than 1,000. When you use this filter, you can find some thin content, and the next step, you need to analyze all of them. Don't try to provide all these content ideas. For example, open this page. I don't know, it doesn't work on my website. Okay, it's better to use English language as well to filter these websites. And you know, Ahrefs doesn't work correctly today because we have some pages without traffic. Okay, let's open this page, and what you can do, just analyze this content. You can see that we have some text, the big picture in the first screen, but if you provide something much better than this content and submit to your content plan. For example, I use Ahrefs one more time. I submit URL to this content, and I want to get the list of keywords. It takes some time, not long, and you can see 670 keywords for this page and organic traffic over 1,700 people. And yes, you can see that the position number 2, gastric sleeve surgery. Okay, let me check out this keyword. Okay, submit in Google and analyze all these keywords. What you can do to analyze this content, to read one more time and think, can you create something better, much better, 3 times better, 10 times better? Because you know, many webmasters create content just a little bit better, but you know how you can overcome others. Content is the #1 ranking factor. If you have much better content than your competitors have, you can get this traffic to your website, because you can overcome others with much better content, and Google loves it. Just analyze other pages that have traffic and think, can you create something better? If you can, just submit to your content plan. The second way, when you have this your content plan, analyze and think you can create much better, you need to do to choose priorities, because for example, you can see that Ahrefs found 178 pages, but you don't need to create all these pages. It's better to create one page with the best content, and after this switch to another page, because creating content takes time. Web content today is overwhelmed and oversaturated with high quality, and you need to have a team. For example, when you have your content plan and are ready to write a new article or a page for your website, what you need to do to find a copywriter, designer, a content manager, and web developer, and SEO specialist like me. For example, copywriter can write this article for you, but it's not enough. Even it's better to skip copywriting, because copywriters usually write about broad topics. It's better to find experts who know your topic, who know exactly about your topic. For example, if your friend is ill, got sickness, what you can do? Are you interested about the text from copywriters? I don't think so. Of course, it's better to read the text from a doctor who has a huge experience, education. It's the same with any niches. When you create a new text, it's better to cooperate with experts who know the topic. When the expert wrote this content, by the way, you can find them on Upwork and many other websites, just analyze their ratings, or do it yourself. For example, I usually write myself about digital marketing, but about other topics, of course, I hire experts. When you have this text, okay, let's imagine you got much better text than in the top 10. It's not about longer content, it's more about quality, freshness, something new, because I often see when copywriters just rewrite content in the top 10 results. I told them, no way. When you analyze the top 10 results, that means you need to create something better, much better, new information. You don't need to rewrite. It's like reading one book twice or watch a movie twice. I'm not sure it's interesting for you. Of course, you can come back for a few years to watch one movie one more time, but if you watched before, you are not interested with that. And Google can recognize that people are not interested to read the same content. That's why it's better to provide something new, much better content than in the top 10 results, and experts can do it because they have experience every day with these topics. Okay, after this, when you wrote this text, you need to use editors. It's interesting that I read a lot of books, and many authors have a few editors. For example, from one audio podcast, I heard that one author has 6 editors. You can imagine many editors. The first editor, of course, it's tools. For example, Grammarly or Hemingway or many other tools that can analyze your text to check out grammar stuff. But after this, you need to it's better to check out manually with other editors, and don't think that your copywriter can write from the first attempt the best text. It's better to check out, analyze, and edit this text. Okay, when you submit it, when you have this text, you need to give this text to a designer. Because today web content, it's not only about text, it's more about design, and most users usually leave websites without regret if they can't understand the content. When they open, they scan content, and some pictures, design, infographics can get their attention, catch their attention, and you can get results when some pictures in the first part of your website, in the header, can provide their attention, and yes, just write design and submit. It's not only about submitting in admin panel, but you can do it as well. It's more about creating some landing page or content that looks much better than generic content in the top 10 results. Okay, when you have design for your text, ask your content manager to submit this text. You can do it yourself, but for example, in my experience, it's better to hire a content manager who can submit in WordPress or any other CRM systems to your website, because content managers have experience with that. And I analyzed my speed with content manager, and I found that he can do it 6 times faster than me. You can imagine. That's why I usually submit all this information to content managers who have experience to provide this job. When your content manager submitted the article or a new page, you can ask a web developer, it's hard to pronounce, web developer, to optimize this content with the speed, to considering page speed insights. For example, let me open in my screen. I have many files here, but page speed insights. And what you can do, just analyze your speed by using this tool, and just share this page for your web developer, or use Google Search Console to analyze how your pages perform, what kind of speed they have, and web developers can fix it. And the final stage, optimized with SEO, write title, descriptions, and submit some keywords in your content, but without hurting user experience. You need to understand that, oh my goodness, I have only 58. It's not a lot, and 65. Yeah, I have some job for my web developer as well. I need to fix all of this. Okay, and when you created this the best content, submitted, the next step, share on social media and provide link building. Don't wait for creating many other pages and ask link builders to provide this job. It's interesting that many content creators create content and do nothing with promotion. They didn't get any results. It's better to skip creating new content and promote existing one. Link building plays a huge role. You can see that link building probably has the position 2 or 3 of impacting the top 10 results. That means you need to consider that. And many great articles, pages were created without promotion, and people don't know about these pages. That's why, yes, you need to pay for link building to find link builder who can provide this job. And for me, it's better to use white hat SEO. For example, I get high results with white hat SEO. I don't pay for any PBN, because Google today is very smart to analyze what kind of links you have. And when you provide link building, it doesn't mean that you need to create links for these pages. You can get these links for your website and interlink to your content to get these results. For example, when you use Haro at the help of reporters out, you can get links to the main page and submit these links. For example, let me check out. If you open my home page, you can see that I have links to my blog, and blog interlinks to my articles, or you can submit some links in the bottom of your page or something like this. Just provide link building, search for methods that work for you, or find link builders who know this stuff, because today link building is hard to get results with outreach. And the last step, let me check out on my iPhone. Keep going ahead if you failed to get results. Sometimes you can create valuable content, very good content, even have many links to this content, but it doesn't rank. That's okay, you know. We don't know about our competitors. They might create the same content, very good content, and if you can't get results from one page, you can get results from another. For example, Neil Patel shares the study that only a small percent of all his pages, articles provide great traffic. That means many pages can't rank, and that's okay, that's normal. You need to consider that you are not alone. Many other competitors provide. For example, when you create some posts on social media, you can see that most of posts can't get high views, many views, high engagement, but some of them can. It's similar to Google as well. That's why when you create one piece of content, create another one, another, and provide link building on all studies. And don't wait that all pages will rank. Only some of them can rank, and that's okay, perfectly fine as well. Okay, guys, let me know what you think about this video. Ask me any questions in the comments sections. I will reply to all of them. Ask me anything, and see you next time. Cheers.